The birthplace of the Bohemian Revolution from Cowork 591 Studios. We are the Bohemian Underground, the Rebel Poets of Jesup with producer Blake Tempus and co-host Dale Rueber. I'm Jim Gillespie, and this is the Jesup News for April 21st, 2025. Did you like that one?
That was good. Yeah, you're right on your game today.
Tonight we're sponsored by Mickey D's Pizza and Lobster. The Pharaohs are kind sponsors of this podcast. Include them at your wedding, graduation, or festival plans. I know they're going to be at Farmers Day, and I know this is the last Friday. Actually, last Friday was the last Friday for them to be behind St. A's. Good Friday. Mm-hmm. Thanks for doing that. Don't wait.
This is Good Friday this week. Oh, coming up. Yeah. No,
yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's out.
Cut that out. I'm screwed.
All right.
All right. This is after Easter.
After Easter?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Don't wait. The schedule's filling up for 2025. Another one, a shout out to our good friend Derek Marty. Derek's Repair is located in Jesup, Iowa. Contact Derek Marty for your car repair needs. Make sure that you call him and set up things. Derek does an amazing job there. Also, check out the podcast, What Is Up with our friend Bubba Seaman. Bubba had on one of the more enjoyable guests that I've heard this past week.
Who was that? It was us.
Yeah, I know. Oh. Well, we were runner-up to this man.
Okay.
So this man was neat. Check it out this week if you can. We were scheduled to have Amy Batista on, but because of scheduling conflicts, we're going to have her on another night. Amy, thanks for being so flexible. We appreciate that. Let's open with the week, Dale.
Well, let's start out with some. I know you keep track of this.
All right.
So I'm going to quiz you on this. But this is the Bloomberg Billionaires Index.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
Thank you.
The 10 wealthiest people in the world.
After you and I.
All Americans and all men.
Okay.
I just want to see, how many of them do you think you can name?
All right.
I'll check them off here.
Okay. Bill Gates.
This one. Okay. Number 6.
Elon Musk.
Yeah, number 1.
The 3 Wall children. I believe there's 3 Wall. Sam Wall? Sam Wall's
Walton,
kids?
Yeah.
Walton?
Yeah, the one they mentioned, she's 13.
She's 13.
Yeah, not in the top 10.
Okay. Dang. So
I told you, all men.
All men. I thought there were 2 brothers in that.
Oh, I don't know, but no Waltons, yeah.
No Waltons.
Yeah.
All right. Bezos.
Yep.
Are these all Americans that you're talking?
All Americans, yep.
A Carnegie?
Nope.
Is there a Morgan in there?
Nope. There's one more guess.
Is there a Rockefeller in there?
No, those are old people.
I know.
They're just plain old millionaires.
Yeah. Okay. I'm out.
All right.
Dale?
All right. Well, this is the last 2 months.
Okay.
Okay. Number 1, Elon Musk went from $402 billion down to $326 billion.
Wow.
He lost a lot of money.
He
Number
did.
2 is Jeff Bezos.
Yeah.
Went from $249 billion to $210 billion. Went down. Number 3 is Mark Zuckerberg. Yeah.
Sure.
Went from $252 billion to $207 billion. Number 4 I'm going to skip, and I'll tell you why later. Number 5 is Larry Eliason. Oracle is the company. I'm not sure what that's for.
Yeah.
I wrote that down. $199 billion down to $159 billion. So
he sponsors those Super Bowl ads. Why not be good?
Okay.
As you know, the ones I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in the last 2 months, he's down $40 billion. Bill Gates, what you got? He did pretty well. $165 billion down to $164 billion. Only lost $1 billion. Hardly even mention it. Okay, Bernard Arnault. And the company they gave was capital L, capital V, capital M, capital H. I'm not sure what organization that is, to tell you the truth. He went from $189 billion down to $148 billion. Larry Page is a Google guy. He went from $166 billion down to $142 billion.
Okay.
Steve Ballmer from Microsoft,
Right.
$148 billion down to $136 billion. And Sergey Brin is also Google.
Yeah.
$156 billion to $134 billion. Okay. Now I skipped number 4 because out of the 10, he's the only one that made money in the last 2 months. He went up.
Oh, he lives in the Midwest too.
Yes, he does.
Yeah,
Who do you think?
older man.
94 years old.
Yeah. And his name escapes me.
Oh, yeah. Well, he's got his nephew Jimmy.
Yeah, he used to run GE.
So Warren Buffett.
Yep.
Yeah. He's 94. He went from 144 billion to 162 billion. So he went up $18 billion in the last 2 months when everybody else went down, some of them very significantly down.
Yeah.
And so I just thought that was very interesting how the old man is outshining all these young bucks as far as making money. Okay, a couple other things here. This is from Forbes. The United States has about 1/3 of the world's billionaires, worth about $6.8 trillion. So that'd be 902 billionaires in the United States.
902 billionaires.
902 billionaires worth $6.8 trillion.
3 of them in this room.
Yes, right. Is number 2. They have 516 billionaires, but they're only worth $1.7 trillion. So everybody's all upset about China, but the United States, as far as wealth at the top goes, still a lot more money. India is number 3, which surprised me. They have 205 billionaires, and they're worth $941 billion. They're not in the trillions yet.
Makes sense per capita, the population. It should have.
Okay, the gross domestic product. Number 1 is the United States with $30.34 trillion. China is number 2. They only have $19.53 trillion for gross domestic product.
That really surprised me.
Yeah, there's a huge gap
Yeah.
there. Yeah. So again, when these politicians tell things can't be going as bad as they try to make us believe, I don't know, but at least the people at the top are doing all right for the most part. Okay.
Trickle down.
The gross domestic product and I thought you might be interested in this, and I did this per capita. This is the average amount of money per person. I want to ask you to guess the number 1, because the number 1 is the little country of Luxembourg.
Yeah, they've been the richest country in the world for a long time.
154,910 per person.
Yeah.
Okay, but here's what I thought was interesting. Singapore was second, and is it Macau? M-A-C-A-O? I was going to have Blake look that up, and then it didn't happen.
Yeah.
And Qatar is number 5, but number 4 is Ireland.
Wealth per capita.
Per capita, yeah. And I was surprised by that, because I always think of Ireland as being a poor country, but they are number 4 in gross domestic product per person.
Well, they let in a lot of the tech guys from Clinton on. I mean, they took off from Clinton on.
Yeah.
The tech companies moved in.
Yeah. So anyway, I thought we'd start with a little quiz like that and let you know that some people are doing really, really well. You can come back to me later, or
oh, thank you.
I can yell at
Well, let's go, Dale, to the tool of the day.
All right.
Brought to you by Dad's Tools. Dad's Tools, located in the garage near you.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So,
Did you ever get in trouble for messing with your dad's tools?
I lost a lot of my dad's tools, and
it's just amazing how they just get swallowed up by the tall grass or whatever.
It is, yeah.
Man alive, and you just thought, well, how long is it going to be before he notices he can't find that?
Yeah.
And before he figures out that I was the one that lost it. But
it wasn't mom that lost it.
Oh, yeah.
He knew that. Anyhow, the tool of the day brought to you by Dad's Tools. My vote for the tool of the day is Vice President of the United States, J.D. Vance.
Okay, what did he do?
Well, the president had the Ohio State University football team into the White House to celebrate their national championship. And if you remember right, J.D. Vance is from Ohio.
Yeah.
And so he was there to celebrate with them. And he grabbed the top part of the college football championship trophy, and he realized that it was 2 parts and knocked the bottom part onto the floor. You could see in Mr. President's eyes that he was happy it wasn't him that did it, and that Vice President Vance was the one that did it. You got a question, was Vice President Vance able to go home and go to sleep after that one?
Yeah. Okay.
So,
well, can I give you mine?
You can.
All right. I'm President Trump. I mean, he can almost win every week, I think. But
Okay.
President Trump took a physical,
Yes.
And they gave out the results of the physical. And it's funny, but President Trump is 6 foot 3 inches tall, 224 pounds.
Yeah.
Well, have you seen a picture of President Trump? He would look like you if you weighed 220 height-wise and weight-wise a few weeks. Yeah. So, I mean, the man's got to be pushing 300, don't you think? Round man.
Although I've seen pictures of him recently, he's lost some weight.
Has he? Well, the picture they showed, he had that, the front butt and everything. It was just, so I just thought, well. He's denying, I guess this is cycle, but, with the hair. And the tanning, and now the weight and the height, constant denial of getting older, I think. So, but anyway, I thought that was pretty obvious to most people, something that couldn't possibly be true. Okay. And so you have to wonder about the rest of the physical also. But they showed a picture of the doctor that gave him that physical, and when he was a first termer.
Yeah.
And doctor was kind of strange looking, and they say he is now dead. They had a picture of him, and he had died. And so, it's a good thing to outlive your doctors, I always thought.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Okay, all right. So I would vote for him.
You would vote for his doctor?
No, I'd vote for Trump for trying to pass him off as 220 pounds.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Dale, we're going through unique times. There's drastic changes going on in education, not only in Iowa, but in the universities nationwide. And the man behind this, everybody wants to say Trump is behind this, but the man behind this is a guy by the name of Christopher Rufo.
Okay, I've not heard of him.
Yep, and not a lot of people have. This is him, Dale, and for our audience, forgive me. Rufo was 40 years old, is what he is. Young man is an American conservative activist, New College of Florida board member, and senior fellow at the Manhattan Institute for Policy Research. He's an opponent of the critical race theory. Okay. And he's a former documentary filmmaker and former fellow at the Discovery Institute, the Claremont Institute, and the Heritage Foundation, and the Foundation Against Intolerance and Racism. Rufo has been involved in the Republican efforts to restrict critical race theory instruction or seminars, which he says has pervaded every aspect of the federal government and poses existential threat to the United States. Rufo's appearances with Tucker Carlson on Fox News reportedly influenced President Trump to issue an executive order in 2020 banning some topics from diversity training for the government and contractors. The order was rescinded by President Biden, but President Trump has since reestablished.
So critical race theory, that's where you're not supposed to talk atrocities or negative things that have happened in history.
Well, there's
in America.
Let's define critical race theory.
Okay.
Good question. Thank you. That's why you're the number one rubber poet in these parts. In simple terms, the critical race theory is a framework that examines how racism is embedded in legal systems, policies, and institutions, not just individual prejudices.
Okay.
So it talks about how it's embedded in governments, in businesses, in schools, etc. It suggests that racism isn't just about overt acts or discrimination, but also about the subtle ways that systems and structures can perpetuate racial inequalities. So there's 5 parts to it, Dale. Okay. These parts are: 1, race is socially constructed. The administration and Rufo doesn't believe that it is socially constructed. And so they believe it's wrong to teach that.
Okay.
Second, that racism is normalized. No. We choose whether it's normalized. He says, I don't necessarily agree with that. I believe it is a learned thing. I believe I taught racism was wrong in school. And I believe that being racist is, if your father and mother are racist, you're taught to be racist.
Sure.
Okay.
Whether they teach you or not, just by being there and seeing them and watching, that's how you learn.
Yes.
Yeah, you don't have to have instruction or anything.
Right. The third is interest convergence. if it affects the interest of a group of people like Hispanics or African American, Jews, the like, Muslim, then they should be paid the respect and be protected, is what critical race theory says. So interests converge to the people that are being affected.
Okay.
So you rationalize that it affects that group. It's a rational thought. Intersectionality or voices of color are 5 and 6, and the voices of color are, you have these different groups that are targeted. You're targeting their voices. You're keeping their voices down.
Oh, okay, all right.
Intersectionality, and I confuse that one more than normal, so I won't talk about that, but that's the fifth part.
Yeah.
Okay. Rueber believes that it should not be taught, and that's one of the changes that have taken place in Iowa. But, and you and I will talk about this, and I don't know if you've got some things about this. I have something about this too. Rueber talks about how these colleges that are getting billions of dollars in grants from the government are prejudiced toward Jews, anti-Semites. And those protests were anti-Semite, and the leaders, the presidents, the chancellors, did not protect the Jews on campus.
Okay.
Because if you remember, the majority of those protests were pro-Palestine, pro-Gaza.
Sure.
He's asking, he's saying one thing, but then practicing another. He's saying Jews should be protected, and they can't, these other people can't say these things. But all those colleges have laws there's all sorts of laws in our country and statewide saying you cannot attack, what do they call them, racial crimes.
Mm-hmm. Well, if there's a racial element in the crime, that's an additional charge.
Yes.
Right. If you robbed me, that's one charge. But if you robbed me and beat me up because I was black and you don't like black people, then the attack was partly robbery and partly just a racist thing. And so, as I understand it.
Now, just a brief look, and here in Iowa, the last number I knew, five foreign exchange students, I classify them foreign exchange students, they're foreign students at the University of Iowa that were involved in the protests, have been, their visas revoked.
Yeah.
Now, to the University of Iowa's credit, they have not sent the cops to their address to get them, but they've told them to report to ICE and the State Department, etc., and they will be sent home. That's in Iowa, but Iowa hasn't lost any money yet. Iowa's protecting itself.
Yeah, because they've agreed not to do the inclusion, what are the three letters, and
DEI.
But just because you are against the killing in Gaza doesn't mean you're anti-Jewish. It just means you could be pro-Israel, but you don't like what Israel's doing in Gaza as far as how many people are getting killed by indiscriminate bombing and this sort of thing, trying to find the Hamas soldiers down in those tunnels or whatever. It doesn't mean you're against Israel. It means you're against that kind of killing. And if you look at the response, 2,000 or so Israelis were kidnapped or killed by that attack. And then the other way, we're up to 50,000 people now that have been killed.
Yeah.
Is the number they give. And you don't look for proportional, but you got to think there's got to be a better way of doing that instead of leveling that thing and putting millions of people at risk and killing 50,000 people, because even a lot of Israelis think that.
Yeah.
And so I don't think that if a college allows students to protest the bombing of Gaza, I don't think that's necessarily saying the colleges are anti-Jewish.
No, but that is a easy way to justify why, for example, they've taken $2.26 billion from Harvard.
Yeah.
And they've taken $1 billion from Cornell.
Harvard's big problem is that they're not very Republican.
Yeah.
That's their big problem, and that's why they go after them.
$790 million from Northwestern University.
Yeah. You look at Iowa here, they're going after Johnson County, Scott County, and Polk County, saying they have to elect their board of supervisors differently. And those counties, what they have in common is they're all highly Democratic counties that vote for Democrats, and so they want them to change the way they elect their board of supervisors to Republicans more of a chance to get on those boards of supervisors.
Well,
the only three counties in the state are doing this to. It's a new law they got coming out.
What's the change?
The change is, instead of electing 5 people to be a county supervisor, they want districts so that the rural area will have representation, and this part of Iowa City versus this part of Iowa City, so that instead of having all Democrats on the board of supervisors, you spread it out some and to give the rural people a voice is the rationale they're using. But there's only 3 counties that they're requiring to do that, and all of them are these heavy Democratic voting counties, and so they try to. Nobody wants a level playing field anymore. They want to tilt it in their favor one way or the other. And while they have the power, I think that's what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
So, and again, I could be all full of it too, but that's the way I read it. So.
That's how I'm taking things there.
Yeah.
I can't figure out, Dale, how they're doing it though for the counting a recount, because do you know that there's changes they're doing the recount?
Yeah, and I guess I haven't read that very carefully, but there's some. They're trying to streamline it some and make sure it's done more quickly, I think.
Well, they want the county auditor, I believe it's the auditor, to count the ballots, because he or she does it all the time. Instead of a representative from each election or from each candidate and a third non-associate. And I'm not convinced that's bad.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like they say, the county auditor does it all the time. That's what they're elected.
Yeah, and I don't know what their motivation was, but the main thing is they want to get it done quickly, and hopefully they want it, done right. They want the numbers right. And
so I agree with that.
Yeah.
But did you hear, and this interested me as a social studies teacher, I believe it passed the House yesterday or the day before. In order to graduate, seniors must pass the citizenship test. And I used to give my students this test all the time, and it won't be a problem because the majority of them could answer those questions as freshmen.
Yeah, I think you can take it anytime freshman through senior.
Is that what it is?
I think so. And you have to have 60% to pass.
Yeah.
And you can take it as many times as you need to. And it's a multiple guess or multiple choice test. And so, I've seen that test too. And if they spend half a chance in history class and sort of thing, they would know the answers to those things if they were a good student. And even if you weren't a good student, there's still, you can figure that stuff out if you look at it carefully.
You're right. The majority of
so
them.
I'm not against that. I think everybody ought to, because we had a civics course when I was in high school that was mandatory, and I'm not against that. I think that, and we had a course, even I don't know what it was called at seniors, you had to take, it was about buying life insurance and health insurance and stocks and bonds and how the financial system worked and all this sort of thing. It was a course in getting ready to get out of high school, and I thought that was very beneficial also.
Well, government is already mandatory, and so is American history.
Sure, so it's all there, the information. Though they said that one of the test questions was name a state that borders Canada. And they said, well, that's not really what we're looking for here as far as a government test or whatever.
Right.
They thought, there were some questions like that were superfluous. They didn't really need those, but
but in the same sense, it's a geography question that they should know.
Well, yeah.
I'm not in favor of testing as a way out of school, but I understand it. Yeah. I can justify that.
I was going to bring this up last week where they passed a law that I think it's 1st through 6th grade. If you're deficient in math, you have to be tested 3 times. Everybody has to be tested 3 times a year, And if they don't pass, then they have to get more math, and where they're tested weekly and this sort of thing. And we had a man from Larry Leitzinger was the math guy from Area 7, and this kind of thing has come up before. And he says, the hog doesn't make weight faster if you weigh him more. And he says the kids aren't going to get better in math just because you test them more. It's all there for the kids. And so I don't know if more testing is the answer.
I could raise my scores in social studies on the ITED, the ITEDs.
Yeah.
I could raise it in a 1 hour class period.
Oh, sure.
Real easy. And, all I had to do was teach 3 or 4 things to do. First, the first thing I taught them was eliminate inappropriate answers and find the best 2 answers.
Oh, yeah.
Then the second one was if you don't understand the question or not sure, go over it and go back. Don't wait on it.
Yeah.
And there were 2 or 3 other things that were real easy. And the first year I didn't do that, and my kids' scores, my students' scores were low.
Yeah.
And I went to the principal and I said, I don't feel good about the scores. I want to get help. And they put me in contact with AE 267. It was something different at
Area
the time.
Area 7 was just 7.
Yeah, Area 7 at the time. And the next year we're 30 points higher. I mean, I wish I could say I became that much better a teacher over the year.
Yeah. Well, there's nothing wrong with teaching kids how to take a test.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. And I remember in junior high we had blank discovered America, and one of the foils was Yogi Berra.
Yeah.
Well, we all know Berra. And writing tests, I don't know, did you ever take a course on how to write a test?
Yeah.
I did too. And it's not easy.
No.
But there's always 1 or 2 you can kick out. It seemed like if you look at it carefully, if you read carefully.
Yeah.
And then there's always one that's too good to be true, and then there's that average one that's the one right there. And sometimes you just know the answer, which is the best way.
Yeah.
But so, no, I don't think there's anything wrong with teaching kids. I taught kids how to take basic skills tests.
Yeah.
About filling in the little circle, but also look at all the answers. Don't jump to conclusions. And I tell you, they will give you an answer. It'll be like 4 cats and 3 dogs. And what's the answer? But they will give you an answer that looks like it could be right, but it never is. They will put a word in there. They'll put so many cats or something. And I wish I could think of a better example. But I don't think there's nothing wrong with teaching kids how to take tests.
No. It's fair to the kids. A
sure.
test shouldn't be unfair.
Yeah.
That's what always bothered me was when you were trying to trick somebody on. That's not a fair test.
Yeah. No, you don't. No, because it's too easy to trick them.
Yeah, it is. It
really
easy.
is. Yeah. And so,
Yeah.
No, I really think all this several years ago, somebody came out with the numbers and said by this year, the white people in America will be a minority. The brown people and the black people are having way more babies per capita than the white people are, and be this if this trend continues, by this year there'll be more Hispanic people in the United States than there will be white people. And I think that's when people started getting all excited about cementing the white person's role in our country and keeping control of things. And so, because that's when it seemed like all the trouble started.
Yeah, it did. So it's illegal now in Iowa to teach the critical race theory, the CRT. Can't be taught in Iowa.
So if you taught about the Trail of Tears, now President Jackson's responsible for hundreds of deaths of the Creek and Seminole Indians, would that be allowed to be taught?
Well, I believe if you say President Johnson or
President Jackson, Andrew Jackson, the Trail of Tears
is responsible. I don't think it would be legal. What you would say is that the Trail of Tears took place during President Jackson's administration.
Yeah, but that he was ordered by the court not to do it, but he did it anyway. and nothing happened, and all the people died.
So here's a question for you.
All right.
And I sent this to a number of teachers at Jesup. Who was the first African American to graduate from Jesup High School?
Oh, and see, I
don't know that either.
Yeah.
I'm asking. So I got a text back from one of them that said that would be a great racial differentiation, different race. It's not critical, or it's not CRT. It's racial different. It's racial differentiation.
I don't understand what you're saying.
Well,
here.
it's not illegal to ask who was.
Yeah.
Because it's not making anybody look bad.
Yeah.
Is what it is basically.
Yeah.
And the other and CRT makes people look bad.
And that's what they don't want.
Yeah.
They don't want the truth to be known.
No.
Oh.
Because somebody looks bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's a question. Tomorrow's my plan is to go. I've got to work in the library tomorrow. I'm going to go to the Becky. I call it the Becky Stereo.
Yeah.
And ask them if they can. They've got to have all the yearbooks of Jesup High School.
As far as I know, they do, and they used to have them in the high school library. I think.
Yeah.
They went back. I don't know.
But not all of them.
Not all of them. Okay.
Yeah. And I'm going to start looking at pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's interesting to me.
Yeah. Well, as a kid in the 50s, where I was just in grade school, and that's when we had all the little towns had their own high schools, and they all had their own baseball teams. And there was a family that lived near Arlington, a farming family, and they were a black family. And so those kids played athletics and this sort of thing. And I never went to any away game, but when they came to play at Hazleton, I never heard any slurs or any problems with this student playing ball for Arlington. Just interesting in the fact that it was something you didn't see every day.
Yeah.
A person with that colored skin. But as I understand it, they were quite a prominent family in that area. Were good farmers, and as far as I know, there never was any problem. Though there could have been lots of things going on that I know about, but that's the only real black person I ever saw until I left home when I was 18 years old.
Yeah, and, I graduated from Crestwood in 1979. 212 students in my class. There wasn't a Hispanic and there wasn't an African American in that 212.
I had some black kids at El Toro in California, and they say, how many brothers live in that town you come from? I said, none. Well, he'd call his friends over because they couldn't believe that there were places where no black people lived. It was just so amusing and wondrous to them that could possibly be. They couldn't believe it. And I think a lot of people coming from all white areas like I did, and if you go to some place like a military boot camp, and all at once you're living with and eating with and working with Hispanics and blacks and poor whites and and some of your officers are black, and they give you orders and you take them out in some of the, I think everybody'd be better off if they realized that the stereotypes they have of the Mexican guy with the sombrero sleeping in the shade, that's not accurate at all. So that's not the way the world is, but those stereotypes get into your head after a while. You see it in Western movies or whatever, and if you actually meet some people that are real, you have a much better chance of being more understanding of how this world is put together. So,
this is Steve Brown Arts Center Podcast Network, and I'm Jim Gillespie with Dale Rueber and producer Blake Tempus. Dale, what do you have for Jesup News today?
You want Jesup News?
Let's go to Jesup News.
All right. The high school, May 18th is graduation. It's coming right up.
Yeah.
So, do you go to graduation?
I don't anymore. I went to every one except one. I had a cousin graduate, and I went to theirs, and I felt so guilty.
Yeah.
And actually, a bunch of teachers missed that one, and we were scolded pretty hard for missing that.
Yeah. I always thought it was nice when they had the high school faculty kind of come together and sit together at the graduation. I've not seen anybody else do that, but I thought that was good. But I think I went all the way till I didn't have any kids that I had taught graduating anymore, and so I don't. And usually seating's at a premium anyway a lot of times, but so I haven't gone for several years. But May the 3rd, getting out in May, I always think that's great. Get out before Memorial Day. This next week, on the 21st, there's golf. Boys golf at Dyke, New Hartford, and girls track and field at Mac Valley. So they're splitting up. On the 22nd, there's golf at Jesup out at the country club with multiple schools coming. The boys track team is at Dyke, and the girls track team is at Charles City. So they're probably getting ready for the districts, or I don't know what they call them in track, but all these conference meets and this sort of thing are getting ready. And then the 24th, there's golf. Again, multiple schools coming to Jesup, and girls track at Grundy Center and boys track at Denver. So everybody's working hard this week. Farmers Day, if you remember the stage in the old gym up there, all that curtain material, the school needed to get rid of that. And so Farmers Day has acquired it.
Oh, really?
Yes, and so this past Friday I went up with other Farmers Day people to haul those things down, and they're now in the city shed.
No kidding. So, they took it down already, huh?
Yeah. Alan has ideas about making there's no curtains really on the front.
Yeah.
To have it be more like a stage where you have curtains on the front, and then the curtains we already have make the backdrop and this sort of thing. So anyway, very heavy. We talked last time about the carnival coming, and Farmers Day is June 19, 20, and 21. We had a carnival, same carnival as here last year, but they're bringing some new rides and they're having a double Ferris wheel. So
a double Ferris wheel.
Yeah, that's two, one here and one up here, and they go back and forth and this sort of thing. So up and down.
So they don't spin.
They go around.
They go around.
Yeah, but one is higher than the other, and then they will rotate and change places and this sort of thing. So if you don't throw up, then why?
I'm riding that this year.
Okay.
I am riding that with you, Dale, this year.
If you get a minute, look up the Pork Chop Review on the internet. That's been going over 50 years, this group, and they were on America's Got Talent, and were a big hit. And it's the finest pig act in the country is what And so it ought to be quite the thing. It's the smartest swine in the country. Amazing stunts, laughable antics, but there's no racing because these pigs are too smart to be racing in the hot sun. So, and they were on America's Got Talent. So the finest pig act in the country. City news, May 22nd, the splash pad will open up. Hopefully it's nice and warm towards the end of May. And the Bible Fellowship will be helping with the opening day ceremonies down there, and I think they're serving, I'm not sure what, but something. And
free meal down there, Dale, you and I, and Blake will buy you supper that day. Okay.
Might be just a cookie, though, too. I don't know. But I can't live on a cookie. So we had some guys on last week talking about the Veterans Park, and they still could use some donations. The problem with the park is they don't know how much money they need. And it's not their fault because they're going to get sometime or other 300 on the list. Isn't that what he said?
Yeah.
Of getting some kind of military craft, a tank, a helicopter, a plane, some kind
piece
of
artillery.
Surplus, a piece of artillery, some kind of surplus military to put in the Veterans Park. And until they get it, they don't know how much cement they're going to need to make a base for it, and how much it's going to cost them to go get it, and all this sort of thing. And cement, of course, is going up all the time. And so if they're still taking donations. You can see Coley over at City Hall, and they'll be glad to, and you'll be glad you did, I think, help these old guys out. Library news, every day, every Thursday, 8 to 9, they have fun and play at the library with activities and toys and games with kids. And Little Tots Story Time is also Thursday, that's at 10:30. Exercise group, they're still over there working out every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 8 o'clock. Today, April 21st at 1 o'clock, you can join the Riverview Center and the Jesup Public Library to chalk the walk with large positive messages on the pavement outside the library. They'll have the chalk. You can come anytime during 1 to 3 and do that. End of the month, April 28th, there's the Tom Hanks and Robin Wright movie called Here at 1 o'clock on the 28th, and as always, it's free admission and free popcorn. And they're still doing the card games on Tuesdays at 1 o'clock, and the Chatter Chat Book Club is on April the 21st, and they're doing The Measure by Nikki Ehrlich. And so you can get a copy at the library if you'd like to do that. And I was going to talk about, I always like to mention for Cowork 591, they're so good to us here. This week, Sonny's Place Food Truck, 11 to 2 on Monday. On the 22nd, Wile Coyote Food Truck, 11 to 2. And on the 24th, Fat Roy's Mexican Food Truck, 11 to 2. And last Monday on the 14th, they had, it's called Chick-fil-A was the food truck. And I was in Des Moines Monday and Tuesday, and we passed this restaurant called Chick-fil-A,
Yeah, yeah.
And I was wondering, anybody ever see this guy's truck and go, oh, I'm going to, call my lawyer or something. But
is it spelled the same?
No, it's not. It's not spelled the same. But it's still Chick-fil-A, but he's got it spread out instead of Chick-fil-A. And so I love how innovative people can be.
Yep.
And push the envelope a little bit, see what happens. Well, that's great.
Hopefully people aren't litigious.
Yes, that's a very good word. You can get a lot of points for that. So.
Thank you.
Okay. We had the breakfast out at the Chatham Historical Society.
Yeah. Oh, and pancakes were
very
incredible.
Good. Yeah, very good. And they had sausage and eggs and all kinds of muffins and breads. I'm trying to think, like blueberry muffins and
banana bread.
Banana bread, that's what I was trying to think of.
That was good.
Okay. And also coming up on April the 28th is we're having the Artists Collaborative at the Jesup American Lutheran Church at 6:30 to 8. And so if you're an artist of any kind, it's a good time to come and talk with people that have an interest in art, and you can help each other out. And it's just interesting to listen and learn. So that's coming up in April from the Steve Brown Arts Center. So
a couple other events I'd like to put in before you go on there, Dale. Don't forget Judy Frosky showing her art at M's Coffee over there. M is appeared in an Amazon bestseller book about her opening her coffee shop, and the author is flying in from New York State just for the weekend to appear at M's Coffee Shop and sign his book.
And when is that going to be?
That's going to be May 21st.
Okay.
May 21st. She's going to be there at 11 o'clock. I was over at M's today, and Emma, to say the least, is very excited about that.
I bet. So he wrote a book about M and the coffee shop? Or?
She's just in the book.
She's in the book. Okay.
Yeah, she's just in the book. Blake, can you check the date? What is that Saturday? Is that the 21st?
24th.
Forgive me. It's May 10th.
May 10th. Okay.
May 10th. Forgive me.
That's better because I think I'm around then. So.
At 11 o'clock.
At 11 o'clock.
Yes.
Okay, May 10th at 11 o'clock, an author signing at M's Coffee. Judy Frosky Art is there. Will she be there in May yet?
She is there till the end of the month, and then we are going to put up some Womack art in May.
Okay.
From high school and middle school students over at Independence.
Okay.
Joel Weisner is a teacher, and he's kind enough to help us set that up. So thank you, Joel.
Okay.
And then the last thing I want to talk about before you go on about the Jesup.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Is Jesup or the Steve Brown Arts Center is proud to announce its first art show. I mean, we showed artists. But we are having our first art show, and we've made our first call to artists.
Okay.
And it is the Mighty Mini. It's a mini art show is what it is. It's called the Mighty
Mini Art Show.
Yeah, the Mighty Mini. It's a mini show. It's hosted by the Steve Brown Arts Center. It's Saturday, June 21st, 2025, from 12 until 5 p.m., at Jesup Farmers Day.
Okay.
And it's
in the gazebo, right?
Going to be in the band gazebo in the Land of Corn Park in Jesup, Iowa. Aren't you proud I said the Land of Corn Park?
I am.
Yeah.
I am. I'm proud of you every day, Jim.
Thank you. Some of the details enter this fun little art show, a show where everything is smaller than 5 by 7 inches.
Okay.
So if you think about it, that's about 5 inches there.
Yeah.
And it's about 7 inches there.
Yeah, well, a piece of typing paper is 8.5 by 11.
Yeah.
So smaller than that.
It'd be about half of that.
Yeah.
Is what it'd be.
Okay.
What you can create, what can you create that is miniature? A painting, a sculpture, or even glass. The Steve Brown Arts Center can't wait to see what you can come up with. Art must be in by the 12th of June to Co-work 591 at 591 Young Street, Jesup, Iowa. Business hours here are 7:30 until 5 o'clock. Enter your mini art and come and enjoy Farmers Day at Jesup on the 21st. Any questions, call 319-290-0241. That's 319-290-0241. Or call or email jgillespiegolf@gmail.com.
Okay.
That's jgillespiegolf@gmail.com. But I've talked to a number of artists that are going to enter more than one piece, because it's, you have a piece this big,
Yeah.
you can enter a bunch of them. And I've been to one of these before, and it's been in a room about the size of the studio. You can show a lot of art in a small area.
Oh, yeah.
So it's perfect for an art center like ours.
Yeah.
So thank you for letting me bring that up.
Oh, that's great. The more we know, the better off we all are.
There we go. What else do you have, Dale?
Well, I always find things that interest me when looking at the newspaper. And Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, you know her? The blonde lady from Georgia.
She and I went to different schools together.
Yes, and I'm sure you were much better off than she was. But
yeah.
Anyway, last week she bought between $21,000 and $315,000 worth of stocks right before President Trump announced that he was pausing temporarily the sweeping tariffs.
To put it in the words of the Saturday Night Live church lady, isn't that convenient?
It really is, yeah.
Yes.
And the Democrats are calling for investigations into whether Trump participated in insider trading or not. And so this reminds me of a book I talked about last year, they called Filthy Rich Politicians. And
I remember that.
But anyway, in the article itself, it ends with lawmakers from both sides of the aisle have long sought to ban members of Congress from trading in stock while they serve in office because they often have insight into policy decisions before they are revealed to the public. However, legislation to do so has not been successful, regardless of which party is in power.
Did you know
now,
this,
that
Dale?
is very interesting.
Let me tell you this,
Let
Dale.
me tell you. All right.
So I can't remember how many years ago they passed a law that said they couldn't do insider trading.
Yeah.
But then on a voice vote over the phone, they passed it again saying they could.
Yeah. Yeah. They hate when they have their hand in the air for a vote like that. They'd rather do it over the phone. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So in Greene's defense, she said, I have signed a fiduciary agreement to allow my financial advisor to control my investment. All of my investments are reported, and she's big on transparency. So that's what she said. But it does look a little convenient. And the rest of them in Congress have 45 days from the time of the transaction to report it. And so a lot more of this could be coming out over the next month and a half or so. So they are supposed to. No, she bought between $10,000 and $150,000 worth of stock in companies like Adobe, Apple, Nvidia, Palantir, and Cummins. And the day before, she purchased stock in Amazon, FedEx, JP Morgan, Chase, Lululemon, Nike, Qualcomm, Tesla, and other companies. And she also sold between $50,000 and $100,000 worth of U.S. Treasury bills. So I don't know what that means, but I don't know where I didn't realize this lady was that well off, but she must have a lot of money if she's doing deals like that. And so anyway, you can see where the opportunity was there to make a whole lot of money if she knew that prices were going to jump. And Trump sent out a text saying, it's a good time to buy, all capital letters. That's all he said. And so that's why he's being investigated also, though. This is a great time to buy. The White House said the post reflected the president's responsibility to reassure the markets and Americans about their economic security. Well, the markets all went down again today.
They did.
And so pretty bad. So anyway, she's doing all right. I told you about Trump's physical. He's 6'3" and 224 pounds, and apparently in the best health of any president that's ever been or ever will be. The thing, I think this is the thing I'm bringing up in a quip that scares me the most about what's going on is this idea of no due process. And this Kilmar Garcia is the man who was taken to an El Salvadorian prison. No lawyers can visit him. The senator from his state went to see him today, and they won't let him anywhere near, won't call him on the phone, nothing. There's no lawyers, no warrants, no evidence. And you go back to Sir William Blackstone, who was an English jurist and legal scholar, and he's the one who said what?
It's not if you're accused, it's if you're found guilty.
Well, he says, rather 10 guilty go free than one innocent man suffer.
Yeah.
And the Trump administration is turning that upside down, and they're just picking up people by the bushel and sending them away with no chance for them to present evidence. Or they say, we say he's in a gang. Everybody else says, no, he's not in a gang. He's no convictions, no arrests, no anything about gangs. But we think he was in a gang, and so they sent him away. Reading about this jurist, Sir William Blackstone, it's been said by many people, there's a Jewish saying in the Old Testament and this sort of thing. But then Muhammad, if there are any doubts, he's talking to people, if there are any doubts, use them. For it is better for a judge to lean towards leniency than towards punishment. And again, we're not following that. So it's really scary, because you think about Gillespie, you've got that communist message on your license plate. Giving everybody free money, and to think that they could come and they're all masked, no identifying marks, no bag, but just pick you up off the street and shove you in a van, take you to a prison in Louisiana, and then fly you to a El Salvadorian prison. You get to talk to nobody, call nobody, see a lawyer, see a warrant. There's no charges. They just take you and you're off because they think they can do that. See, and that's scary if we have no right to due process, as stated in the Constitution. Why I think the country's in real trouble. And if you get a chance, on the Sunday paper, register. It's called Restore America as a Force for the Better. It thinks about, started with Jack Kennedy, that America could do more for the world. If you heard those numbers I gave you, we give more because we have more. We have a lot more than anybody else. People in this country live better than 99% of the people in the world. Yet we're acting like we're going to grub out every single penny from anybody we can. And, it's just not the way I want to be known.
Right.
But it says the money we have given from 1961 and up until this latest president, our contributions have helped transform the world for the better. 1960, 54% of the world's population survived on the equivalent of less than $5 per day, and fewer than 15% do that now. Global literacy rose from around 40% to around 90%. Smallpox and 2 of polio's 3 strains were eradicated. Americans have been able to take pride in being the greatest source of good in the history of the planet, while spending just $1 in 1,000 on aid to these people. That's $1 in 1,000 we spend, and yet they act like we're sending all of our resources to other places. And at the same time, American became well admired all over the world, and that was 74 years ago, and it's not that way now. And so we have a president so consumed with making money, making America greater, making America richer when we're already richer than anybody else. And they quoted Joe Biden. He says, "Don't tell me what you value. Show me your budget, and I'll tell you what you value." And if you look at our budget, foreign aid or aid for anybody is going down the tubes, and that's what our budget is telling you. And we're going to cut our taxes so we have more money in our own pockets to do what with, I do not know. But anyway, those are my thoughts for the day.
This is Steve Brown, Arts Center Podcast Network. A few final messages. Don't forget our 24-hour Mustang camera, sponsored by Joe's Pizza in Independence. I watched that at the dentist today during the times that I had to wait on him, and my dentist is good. He's pretty fast, but I just watched that. A great clear picture. It was a great clear sunny day, so it made it.
Yeah. Who put that camera up? They must have done a real good job.
They did.
Yeah.
Blake Tempus.
Tempus did that?
The producer
he
of
must be a genius.
A very famous podcast.
Producer, yeah.
That Judy Frosky has art at M's Coffee. Don't forget, we're trying to meet 12 artists this year. We're well on that way. If Dale goes over and meets this author in May, that will be one ahead.
Well, if Blake and I both paint a picture, then you could count us as 2 people. I could. Say, sure.
I could. If you'd like to donate to the Steve Brown Arts Center or have an idea for an event, go to the SteveBrownArtsCenter.org and follow the link. Don't forget, we have a jam session again in May, the 3rd Sunday of May in the pavilion at the Land of Corn Park.
Okay.
Don't forget the Artist Collaborative that JL talked about, coming the 28th of April. If you have news or would like to sponsor us, email us at jim@stevebrownartscenter.org or call 319-290-0241 and leave a message. I'm Jim Gillespie with co-host Dale Rueber and producer Blake Tempus. We're burning the candle at both ends, Mr. Tempus. Thank you so much. And as always, thanks to Kelly C. Haas for having us in her house. Thanks to the audience for bringing these stray dogs and rebel poets into your house here and letting this come into our listeners' lives. And remember, each day is about little victories.
Yes, sir.